This is Prime Crime Network.
Now, D.C. police giving an update on the shooting that happened at that funeral home in Northeast Washington, D.C. Police confirming 4 individuals, adult individuals, have been shot. One of those has now been pronounced dead, a male adult. The 3 others have been rushed to area hospitals. They have suffered serious injuries, non-life threatening. The gunman has not been identified and is on the run. Police are asking for any help in identifying the suspect. Not even clear yet if that suspect was driving or if that suspect was on foot. The police did just reveal in that press conference they believe the individuals shot were targeted, but they don't know why. What led them to believe that is that the funeral was happening and it was just being let out at 12:17 p.m. locally, and these individuals appeared to the police to have been targeted. That presser is happening right now. They're taking questions. Let's dip in and listen here.
People who do these types of crimes, I mean, they need to be ultimately held accountable for their actions. And, we need to do the work hard in order to get us there. It's unfortunate that someone would be so brazen to do such an act, let alone at a funeral. I mean, how low can you be of a human being to target other people at a funeral? My goal is to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to track the person or persons responsible down, and we're asking for the community's help in that space.
I understand there was another shooting at F Street Southeast. Can you tell us anything about that and whether you guys are looking at a connection?
So right now, very preliminarily, it doesn't appear to be a connection to that shooting, but we're unsure. This is very early in the investigation. It's not too far away from here. We have officers there on that scene. We have detectives there on that scene trying to get to the bottom of what happened there. Right now, it doesn't appear to be related. But again, if there's information in the community that people are willing to share with us that lets us know that it is connected or is not connected, or who the suspect is in that shooting, that would be very helpful information.
Was this family fearful of violence at this funeral?
I don't know that they were specifically fearful of violence, but obviously their loved one died as a result of gun violence. So I think it's prudent to that there could be some reasonable fear there for anyone. You don't know who killed your loved one. People have concerns about that kind of thing. And again, like I said, it's not anything out of the ordinary. Our victim services, who oftentimes work with families, families will request that. Sometimes they'll say, we don't want any police near the funeral. We just want to kind of be able to grieve. Unfortunately, in this case, someone decided to disrespect this family at this level and commit this senseless act of violence at the kid's funeral.
So was your officer here at the request of the family?
Say it again?
Was your officer here at the request of the family?
Yes. So there was a request by the family through our victim services branch for additional police presence at the funeral. Like I said, the funeral was over at this point. The funeral ended around 12, so this is about 17, 18 minutes after the funeral was over when the shooting occurred. And your question, sir?
Can you tell us the weapon that was used?
No, it's too early. I can't tell you the type of weapon that was used. Any other questions?
Do you know how many shots were fired?
I don't know how many shots. Last question? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
I think he's in.
All right, so the police there revealing and reiterating that they believe this was a targeted attack, and revealing a few more details about the funeral that had just been let out, at which these 4 people were shot, one of them killed. The loved one that they were there honoring at the funeral home was one that died from gun violence, and they were fearful to the point that something could happen, that they asked for additional police presence there. But still, a gunman was able to carry this out. On the street there, vague details still about where exactly this happened around that funeral home, but the suspect is on the run and has not been identified by police. So they are asking the community and any witnesses for help in identifying who this was and why they did it.
Yeah, Sandra, interesting, police pointing out there that the family did request an additional police presence to be there at that funeral. They said the funeral ended at about noon, 12 o'clock, and this shooting happened after the funeral, about 12:17. Police saying that whoever carried out this shooting very obviously disrespected the family. As you just mentioned, they were burying a loved one who had just died to gun violence. So you've got a funeral for somebody who had been shot and killed. At that funeral, where more police have been requested, 4 people shot, 1 one person dead so far, several others hospitalized with gunshot wounds, though we're told they are not life-threatening. Now the search is on for who did this. We initially reported that there was an initial report about a green vehicle being seen leaving the scene. D.C. police were asked, was this a drive-by shooting? They say they don't know. They're asking for any community members to come forward with any information, any witnesses who might have seen something. Obviously, at a funeral, you're going to have dozens of people there and gathered in one single place, so it's likely people saw something. That's how they have that initial suspect vehicle description. But clearly, Sandra, this family obviously had some concerns going into this funeral if they wanted additional officers there.
All right, we'll continue to monitor the situation there, bring you updates as we get them, as the police hunt for that suspect in that killing, and those who have been injured, 3 rushed to the hospital. We'll continue to monitor that situation.
Prime Crime Network.
It was exclusive.
A 5th victim has now died after a gunman opened fire inside a bank conference room yesterday. 8 other people were injured. We're also learning the shooter was employed by the bank and killed by police, and that he planned and live streamed the attack. The police chief providing more details earlier today.
We have also learned that he purchased the weapon used in this tragic incident on yesterday, on April the 4th. He purchased the weapon legally from one of the local dealerships here in Louisville. We have executed a search warrant on his residence, and we have recovered items, and we cannot get into specific details on what we recover at this time because, again, the investigation is ongoing.
This is one of the most chilling things we learned during that news conference this afternoon is the fact that the shooter allegedly warned someone. They called someone before this shooting. This happened. Of course, we don't know the timeline in terms of when it happened, whether it's right before the shooting or weeks before. But we know that this shooter allegedly either called or texted at least one person. He allegedly indicated to that person that he was suicidal and contemplating harm. But officials say there's really no Kentucky law right now in the books to deal with a situation like that. We also learned this afternoon that officers executed a search warrant, and I think it's worth repeating from what the chief just said. They were at the shooter's home shortly after that shooting here yesterday, and they removed a lot of items that they're going through that evidence right now. Officials are, of course, calling this a targeted shooting because the suspect actually knew each of these victims. He worked with them for years. He actually started here as an intern and had been promoted a few times. And of course, 2 former bank employees we talked to said that, he was friendly. They had no idea that he would do something like this. They said that he was an avid sports fan and really didn't see anything that would indicate any kind of red flag in terms of committing such a gruesome act. ABC News also learned that the shooter recently found out that he was about to be fired. We're not sure exactly how close to the shooting that was when that was supposed to happen. But investigators say that he purchased that gun on April 4th, 6 days before that shooting. It was legally purchased from a local dealership, and now because of the way the laws are written here in Kentucky, that gun will likely end up on the streets again. It will be auctioned off with the proceeds going to police.
That is hard to believe. I hadn't heard about that Kentucky law. This is for those who are keeping count, it is disturbing to say that this is the 15th mass shooting in the U.S. this month. So, Faith, just break down these troubling numbers for us.
Yeah, it was quite remarkable hearing officers, officials from police to the mayor to the medical officer being very blunt about what needs to happen in the wake of this shooting in terms of gun reform. They say that they are weary, they're tired, they're heartbroken, and that this level of violence is beyond anything that anyone should accept in any community, especially in this community of Louisville. Already this year, 40 people have been shot to death here in the city, even here at the scene of this mass shooting yesterday. As police were responding to this shooting, someone was shot and killed just 2 miles from here, less than 2 miles from here. Police say in less than 2 weeks here in April, there have been 15 mass shootings in total for the city of Louisville. And so, of course, Kentucky, look at the officials here that we've talked to and the ones that are talking about this incident, from the mayor to the police chief to the governor and the medical officer, all talking about the need for reform and how quickly that needs to happen. Kentucky, of course, is one of the 26 states that actually allow eligible adults to carry guns without a permit. And back in 2019, the state removed provisions that required background checks for concealed carry across the country. There have been 146 mass shootings so far this year. Absolutely heartbreaking statistics as this community continues to mourn here. We heard from the Louisville mayor, Craig Greenberg, who tells ABC News, we have to take action.
They're devastating numbers, mind-boggling numbers, Faith. Talk to me a little bit about what happens next at Old National Bank, which was the site of this mass shooting. Do we know when the bank is going to reopen? Is it still an active crime scene?
Well, we know police have removed the crime scene tape around the building, and so it's not active right now. I'm not sure about the inside of the building. But in terms of reopening this bank, this is not something that we are aware of that has been announced at this point. But this bank, of course, the employees there just lost 5 of their co-workers in that building, some of them senior executives of this bank. Of course, they need time to clean up and repair any physical damage. Inside, the windows have been blown out. In the front of the building, there were several windows blown out yesterday. Even over my shoulder, we saw workers over there this morning trying to board up one of the windows here. So there's going to be some need for repairs. There's going to be need for cleanup. I would imagine that they plan to open, if they plan to open at all after this tragedy, that it will be a while before we see that happen.
I can imagine both emotional and mental healing going on there within that bank as well.
Prime Crime Network.
It was exclusive.
Breaking right now, a young life cut far too short in a Montgomery County home. The search for answers led police to a car in the ocean and the child's mother in handcuffs. It's a story unfolding across 3 communities right now. Good afternoon to you, everyone. I'm Natasha Brown.
And I'm Siaf Lewis. Authorities say the child was found dead in Horsham. Police found the mom's car in the ocean in Cape May and arrested her in Wildwood Crest. Our Dan Snyder is live in Horsham with more on the breaking details. Good afternoon, Dan.
Good afternoon, guys. And just a gut-wrenching scene here this morning. As you said, a father finds his son dead and his wife missing. We're on Privet Road right now, just after about 7 o'clock this morning. That's when officers responded here when Daniel Whitehead reported finding his 11-year-old son, Michael, dead in the master bedroom. Now, Daniel also told investigators that he noticed his wife, Ruth Dorenzo Whitehead, wasn't home and that her black Toyota Highlander wasn't in the garage. Daniel reportedly told police Ruth and Michael both slept in that master bedroom last night. Neighbors we spoke with say they're just stunned something like this could happen in their own backyard.
No, not at all. I mean, they're quiet. They kept to themselves. You know, seem to be a good family. You know, so kids seem pretty smart. Just a shame.
Now, as police were searching the home here in Horsham, take a look at this. This was the scene in Cape May, New Jersey, more than 120 miles away. That's cell phone video of what police say is Ruth's SUV being pulled from the ocean. Police say that vehicle was spotted by a passerby at around 3:30 a.m. And we have since confirmed that Ruth is in custody in Wildwood Crest. And there is still a lot we don't know about this investigation, including the cause of death for 11-year-old Michael. Reporting live.
Thank you for watching Prime Crime Network, your source for urban and suburban and around the world news. Hit the subscribe, like, and the notification bell. And check us out on primecrimenetwork.com.